I wanted to serve here in Poland because I saw it as the most significant European country with which we had the least significant relationship. So my son was born here, and my daughter, continued schooling here. But she herself has also developed a lot of great relationships and friendships here. We look at Poland and say that's who you want to be.
You are watching and listening to Polish Radio External Service. Welcome to our special podcast titled A Coffee with an Ambassador. And today we are very pleased to welcome a special guest to our studio. Drilon Gashi, the ambassador of Kosovo to Poland, is here with us. Hello, so good to have you here.
Very good to be here.
And together we will explore the field of diplomacy as well as discuss Mr. Ambassador day-to-day life here in Warsaw. So there is a lot to unpack. There is a lot to cover. So stay with us. And starting off, it's worth noting that your country does not have an actual embassy here in Poland, but you are on a diplomatic mission. So it's been also a while since you moved here. You moved here, in 2023?
Yeah, so I arrived here December 2023, just around the time of politically when there were a new government coming into power here in Poland. I arrived, and about a month later, my family joined me in Warsaw, and I began this mission. We had not previously had a presence in Poland, so I was very happy to have the great privilege of establishing our first mission here. And we inaugurated the Consulate General of the Republic of Kosovo in Warsaw on May of that year, May of the following year, May 2024. And you're right. So indeed, we declared our independence 18 years ago. Poland was one of the first countries to recognize independence, but we only established bilateral relations in 2022. And then we established a mission here. Poland is covering Kosovo on consular affairs from the embassy in North Macedonia, which is Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia, is about an hour and a half from our capital, Pristina. But we hope to have, we hope to update the signage here so that we have an embassy, and even more important to that, we hope to invite a Polish embassy in Pristina. So we're working on several things at our mission, but of course, this is sort of the overarching goal, and that's because we believe in this relationship, this bilateral relationship, in terms of economic ties, which are already strong. Poland is our 8th largest trading partner, 4th largest in the EU. We believe in developing things like defense ties, where we're both stalwart transatlantic countries, perhaps the most pro-American countries in the world. And we also hope to join Poland in the not-too-distant future in the European Union. Poland's a great champion of not only our path to the EU, but all countries of my region, the Western Balkans, also countries in the Eastern Partnership. And so we appreciate the support Poland has provided to date and hope that we can continue to develop our relationship as we get closer to joining the EU in the future. And NATO, I should mention, NATO is very important for us as well. Mm-hmm. We want it to continue to exist and continue to be a very strong entity, and have that be one of the ways in which we show our commitment to strong defense ties with Poland and the rest of countries that are part of NATO.
Speaking of those bilateral relations, so in which sectors, economic, cultural, security, do you see the greatest untapped potential to have with Poland?
All of the above. I don't know if that was an option, but I say all of the above because we hadn't had this exchange of missions. While there was economic activity happening, largely, let's say, with some encouragement from the public sector, but mostly just through business interests. There was some cultural exchanges, but there wasn't really anybody who was tasked with, creating, enhancing these types of relationships, across sectors. And so we've looked to be active on all fields. So in terms of economic ties, we had an economic forum in 2024. We're hoping to have another this year. We have plans going forward to have that second forum. The first one was in Warsaw. The second one will be in Pristina. Cultural ties, we've had a great number of exchanges this year. Already 4 concerts that we've directly, been involved in or either supported. 2 here in Warsaw and 2 in Pristina. The 2 here were promoting Kosovar culture. The 2 in Pristina were promoting Polish culture. And so this is something that I was proud as ambassador and as head of our mission to support. So showing that we, of course, want to show our culture here, but we also want to promote Polish culture in our country. We value it greatly, and we think the linkages between our cultural institutions in music, in film, and visual art, and really across all fields are interesting. So those 2 areas. And then we're working across ministries where we have interests on sort of formalizing and enhancing our ties. So that has, included things like areas of justice. It's included initial discussions on defense. And so we're active there. And then the last and also important area is city-to-city connections. So that is also an important part of diplomacy, and we there can be, of course, a facilitator, but sometimes I feel that, when you're starting something new, you have to be a catalyst. And so we're looking to be a catalyst of new connections between our cities and municipalities and kind of encouraging really connections in the public and private sector at the national level, at the local level. And so
and so on.
Yeah.
Yes, just last year we opened this new direct train to Croatia, which was a milestone. So I hope to have another maybe train to your country. That would be a pretty amazing thing to have. But you mentioned the European Union and Kosovo's place in Europe. So how important is Poland as a partner within this European framework?
No, certainly. And I was just going to say, we're hoping to have a new direct flight between Warsaw and Pristina with LOT Airlines, with Polish LOT Airlines. And so we're working to see if we can make that happen, really show that it's in LOT's commercial interest to start that line. That would be a first step for people who are listening who want to visit Pristina yesterday. And then the next step is if you would visit Kosovo, you would notice that the highways are already of the EU standard, and so really easy to get around by car. But we are now investing in upgrading our railways, and so we hope that a rail connection can be possible with Poland in the let's say not too distant future. But it may be that Polish firms have to be the ones that are upgrading our railways, and that can be an opportunity as well. In terms of European integration, maybe to start with, we applied to the EU December 15th, 2022. Applied to be European Union candidate state, and we're still what's termed a potential candidate. So our application has not yet been reviewed. And we are also waiting on the questionnaire for our membership, which is something that the European Commission provides. And so part of the, in terms of reforms, we have been performing quite well according to the annual progress report that's released and according to metrics that compare how we're doing along with other countries that are looking to be a part of the EU. The challenge for us is partially that there are 5 countries within the EU that still do not recognize our independence. And so for those listening who have studied countries who have become independent, it's not too uncommon, actually. It's not often that a country becomes independent and achieves universal recognition. So we were happy in the first year of independence to have recognition by the US, UK, France, Poland, Germany, sort of our main players, historical partners. Japan, of course, also out east. But we're still hoping to convince those 5 countries in the EU to recognize their independence, and that would make it easier for them to then allow us to advance on our EU integration. So that's kind of been stalling a bit our process. But whenever it's been the case that we have to do more of our homework, we're ready to do that. So we're 100% committed. It's Kosovo is not a country where you have elections and everybody's kind of at the edge of their seat. Like, is the party going to win? Who's pro EU or not? Everybody's pro EU. Everybody's pro NATO. So there's no political voice or political alternative that is, let's say, hedging against that bet. And I think that's a very positive thing. Unfortunately, that can lead to our allies saying, well, they're always going to be waiting online, so let's like focus on the problem spots. So we would like to be, a bright spot that does have, the attention and support to keep progressing on our path to the EU.
Especially now with Ukraine being also a candidate country.
Yes, of course. And I think, with all the countries looking to be a part of the EU, it's it's sort of a case where all of us should exceed that, really want to be part of the EU and to show that we've made progress to move forward. So Kosovo has a great deal of empathy and sympathy for Ukraine and for what Ukraine has done to respond to the Russian aggression. We've provided modest support from our side, but probably the most support we've ever provided as an independent country to another country at war. And so, any good news like we've had recently with Ukraine's EU accession is considered good news in Pristina as well. And we hope to kind of move alongside Ukraine. Part of the issue I deal with often, and I'm so happy to be on Polski radio and talking to you, is, people who don't know a lot about Kosovo here, war, just 26 years ago, conflict, issues with Serbia, complex. And so when you hear that, you're sort of like, I'd rather not deal with it. I'd rather not. I think that's really the result of a lot of misinformation, disinformation about who we are. Unfortunately, Russia has really seen us as a case that they would like to challenge U.S. foreign policy on, and they would like to kind of misconstrue what we're all about. And so I emphasize to partners here, both in government, outside of government, in culture and in business, that visit the country, make up your own mind. Of course, my job is to promote everything that is good and great about my country, and I think there's a lot of that. But the most important thing for me is people who are curious should really get out and see the country for itself. And I think they'll find that it's a country that has had a war. And it was certainly a terrible war for us, but we have overcome it. We're working to remember it. We're working to, mend relations within our country. And we're a mostly young population, the youngest country in Europe in terms of average age, 34. I'm slightly older, just than that.
Just that.
But just that. I have to stay close to the average. No, I'm just kidding. But so average age is 34, and young people who we do deal with this issue of people migrating, people leaving the country because of not enough opportunity. But there are also a lot of people who are really taking on their country's plight into their own hands, whether that be in business, whether that be in public sector, creating the cultural institutions that we need to. And so I think it's an exciting time for us in both building the institutions of our independent state, and then for people like me, really making sure that we have a place everywhere in the world, especially in places like Warsaw and Poland, where we see this as a very, very important relationship for us to build.
So how do current political or geopolitical developments in Europe influence Kosovo's policy? Because we just tapped a little bit into that topic, but I am curious about how do you handle that, especially with, raging war in Ukraine, now conflict in the Middle East, and there are so many different stuff going on around the world that it's really difficult to focus just on one single thing and navigate through this, let's say, noise.
Right. So I think, we were really privileged in the sense that we declared independence really as probably among the most coordinated declarations of independence that you've ever had, historically, at least in modern history, where we worked with our partners, the US, EU, to, really work on the right time for us to be independent, to also make commitments that, yes, we would build a country that respected the will of Kosovar Albanians, the majority people of our country, for independence, but at the same time create a country that was home to all of our citizens. So also home to Kosovar Serbs, also home to other communities within the country. And for that first 3 year period, 3 to 4 year period, we had a ton of international support, really helping us build our new institutions, giving support for our new practitioners, our helping us kind of with technical assistance, with advice to attract foreign investment. And so we're really privileged to have all this positive attention of the world in helping our independent country be successful. As time has went on, of course, countries have still been invested, but as you mentioned, currently there's the ongoing Russian aggression in Ukraine. There are obviously issues elsewhere in the Middle East and beyond. And so, for a lot of our allies, their attention now is understandably elsewhere. And so what that has meant for us is, how can we now, stand on our own 2 feet a bit more? How can we realize that our allies have less time to focus on us? So we really use their time advantageously. And then how can we do things like, build the economic ties, build the cultural ties that, enhance your connections to the world around you in a positive way. And that's one way that you can be out there on your own, and then, kind of working with allies. So I think, the one thing for us has been this, over time, this less and less attention to our cause. So we've got to kind of now rise up and really fend for ourselves in a meaningful way. And the second thing is, of course, we, in our region, we have a NATO presence ever since our war. Poland is part of that presence, so we're very grateful for that. This was Poland's first international mission with NATO in Kosovo, so that's something we're very appreciative of. Poland has the 5th largest contingent of forces within NATO. Overall, the force is about 4,000 soldiers strong. The initial mission of this military force was to really safeguard safety within the country. So provide safety within the country and provide for there not to be, kind of violence as an additional, let's say, support to the new police service that was being created in the new country. Now it's taken on a role like other military presences elsewhere in Europe, including in Poland, where it's really providing a deterrent to aggression by malign actors. And for us, that's, again, primarily sort of potential Russian aggression or Serbian aggression, really encouraged by Russia in our region. And for the most part, at least in kind of recent times, we have been quite vigilant in that kind of a risk. And so we don't have too different of a security situation from, let's say, Poland or other countries that are similar. So I think enhanced conflict areas in the world have, had us think about security more, and so really work with the NATO force that's present, build our own security capabilities, and then really the first part is, working to be a proactive state actor within the country and abroad, because more of our independence is really in our hands now.
And you mentioned this security sector, of course, a cultural sector, etc. But how important is people-to-people diplomacy in strengthening those bilateral relations, especially now when you're here abroad and you want to promote your country, you want to enhance and improve those relations and just show that Kosovo is here on the map?
No, for sure. I mean, this is a key component, is, not limiting our work or our engagement to, official government meetings or, official events, but also communicating as much as possible through several platforms to get to the people in Poland, the people elsewhere, and create those connections as you're describing. We have a lot of help from our unofficial monarch, Dua Lipa, who's originally from Kosovo. I say she is certainly a queen, but we don't
Definitely
have a monarchy.
an icon.
So she's not our queen, although unofficially, certainly it feels as though she is. And so we've had the great fortune to have wonderful ambassadors like Dua Lipa, and Rita Ora, and a lot of sort of pop artists who are originally from Kosovo. Dua spent some of her childhood in Pristina and some of her childhood in London. Obviously now she's, an incredible global pop icon, but also a supporter of reading, a supporter of cultural initiatives. She's championed several famous Polish writers such as Olga Tokarczuk
Yes, exactly.
and others. And so we're proud of that connection as well. And then she has invested so that our capital city has a music festival that she started with her father, the Sunny Hill Music Festival. So if people are listening and like, when can I get to Pristina and listen to music? The end of July, beginning of August. So I think it's July 31st through August 4th, if I'm not mistaken. We have the Sunny Hill Music Festival, which this year will be in its 6th year. And Katy Perry is one of the big names performing this year,
Wow.
which is
Okay.
really great. And so Dua herself performs, I think, every 2 years. So she performed last year. I was really happy to be there and listen to her as a fan. I'm also a fan. And so these people have had an immense impact. And we've been very, very glad to have, great icons like this who have really connected us to the world. We've had sports players also. So we're not a part of the World Cup currently. We were so close, like Poland, we were not able to get through. But, we were probably with Poland the two best teams that are not in the World Cup.
Of course.
For sure.
Let's convince ourselves that.
I have convinced myself already. Yeah. So I think, but yeah, I mean, in sport is another way where we have a lot of great, football stars, and we have, I always say in Poland that we joined the Olympic Committee in 2016. We have 5 Olympic medals already, all in judo, and all by women. And so our women kick butt. If anybody's wondering, that most definitely kick butt. And it's a great pride for us. And we've actually, after Japan, we won't try to take the mantle of judo from them just yet. But we've had a great coach and a few coaches in judo, and some really great women athletes who have put us on the map. So we have the current European champion of judo is Distria Krasniqi from Kosovo, our first ever Olympian. Majlinda Kelmendi made us immensely proud when in Rio, Brazil. She won our first ever Olympic medal, a gold medal at that. So sport and culture is our way of really getting out and interacting with the world and showing that, yes, people can think, oh, wow, yeah, Kosovo is kind of like a small country in Southeast Europe. But I think we've always, tried to have this impact that's much larger than that smallness. We're proud of, for folks thinking further back, Mother Teresa is originally from Kosovo, both of her parents. She grew up in neighboring North Macedonia in Skopje, but she was inspired to take on a missionary life, a Catholic church we have in the southeast of Kosovo. So we've had these, we've been lucky to have these icons who have helped us connect and then make it so this complex concept of a state is a pop star, is a football player, is something that's very tangible on the people-to-people side.
So do you also organize things like this in Poland to promote Kosovo, to show Poles what an incredible country Kosovo actually is? Because I think that we don't really know and are familiar with the concept of this country and what is it about and its culture. So I'm just curious whether you try to reach out to Poles and show them that, hey, maybe this is your next vacation destination.
We hope for Poles to come to Kosovo as their next vacation destination, and certainly across our social media platforms. So shameless plug, Kosovo in Poland. Follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and the like. We first try to organize quite a few cultural events. So this year we had actually mainly musical concerts, one for our National Day in February, and then also concerts for our National Philharmonic, a vocal ensemble which performed in Krakow, the Philharmonic, in April. And then most recently we had the Croatian Guitar Quartet, but that had an excellent Kosovar Croatian guitarist Petriceko perform here at Royal Łazienki Museum just recently. So we've done a lot of music-related events this year, and we'll have our full Philharmonic, 140 musicians and choral singers coming in October. So please stay tuned, and I hope people will come to their concert at the Krakow Philharmonic again and here at the Warsaw Philharmonic. So this year has been a big year in music and promoting music and the connection between us. And for Poles, what's a unique connection? Our national anthem was composed by Mendy Mendzicie, who was a student of Krzysztof Penderecki in Kraków for about altogether up to 9 years. And he composed one of his best works, which is an oratorium to Mother Teresa, as his master's work, which was first played here in Krakow. We're bringing that work back for the first time 26 years later as the centerpiece of our concert this year. But we have that really unique musical connection. We're looking to promote in the future our connection in film, which is what's more interesting there, perhaps for the Polish public, is our movies have done quite well at Cannes and Sundance and some of the other international festivals, but it's mainly been our women directors who have done very well in these. So I asked the director of our cinematographic center, do we actually have more women directors than men? And she said, no, but we just have more award-winning women directors than men. So that's
Applause,
something,
ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, that's something we're proud of. So we have many Agnieszka Holland type directors in Kosovo. So we're looking to promote that in the future. Maybe exchange film weeks between our countries. Have a Kosovo film week here. Have a Polish film week in.
Well, that would be an incredible thing, especially that we are very known for organizing film festivals. For instance, we just ended a Dogs Against Gravity documentary film festival, so that would be incredible. Let's dive into your life in Poland, because you've been living here for 2.5 years right now. Yep. So what has surprised you most about the living here in Poland? Because you reached a major moments in your life during your tenure here. For instance, you just had a baby, so congratulations. So tell us a little bit more about your life here.
Thank you very much. So I, by the way, at the Dogs Against Gravity Film Festival, we had a film from Kosovo by Alban Muja that was featured. It's the portrait that saved me. So if people are curious, it's a very, very great short film. It's interesting. When I came out here, I was living in Washington previously. And basically I had the great privilege of being asked to serve as ambassador. And then I had some say, or let's say, some of an influence on where I would serve. And I wanted to serve here in Poland, because I saw it as the most significant European country with which we had the least significant relationship. So I said, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to be a part of our public sector, I want to do something really meaningful, really impactful. And so we took that decision with my wife, and we decided to come out here. I kind of found a residence and got things organized. And then my wife and daughter joined me a month later. When my family was all here, I think my wife was 4 months pregnant. So, that was one of a bold family move, maybe.
Yes.
So I was, working on kind of founding this new mission and setting that up and getting us, kind of registered here, and doing also some of the administrative bits, as well as, showing our presence for the first time. And then I was, so in the process of founding a new mission and in the process of welcoming a new child into our family. So our son was born here 1 month after we inaugurated our mission. So new mission established, ribbon
and new
cutting,
baby. Where's
new
the baby?
Umbilical cord cutting. No. Born in Warsaw. And I'm grateful to the city of Warsaw for providing a onesie with Syrenka. So that's a very cute thing.
Yes.
We'll keep in our
symbol, our city symbol, mermaid. Yes,
mermaid. It's a beautiful and meaningful symbol. And so my son was born here, and my daughter, continued schooling here. but she herself has also developed a lot of great relationships and friendships here, and this is home for her. And because when we arrived, she was 3 years, just turned 3. This is really all she remembers. So she doesn't remember Washington so much, and she remembers Warsaw. It's been, I think, so I came kind of for this, maybe more of an idea I had about, how this relationship was important and how I needed to work about it. But to be honest, I had my wife's support and knew I wanted to be here, but didn't do a great deal of research on how life would be here. But I've found that it's been wonderful to live here. It's been great for our family, a very family-friendly city in Warsaw and country in Poland. So that means, when you travel on the highway and head somewhere, for those, not having kids, that, places are well equipped with, a kid's bathroom, which is a huge lifesaver if you're a parent. So things like that, but having a lot of green spaces and parks and accessible areas that have, a cute little table and activities for kids, which we have, by the way, at our mission. So feel free, people who are listening, come visit with your kids. You're welcome. And so we found it to be a very warm and inviting place for family. And then I try to take my family with me whenever I can for activities that we're doing, let's say on weekends, or if we can.
So what are your favorite activities to do here in Poland?
To do here in Poland? I love the cultural scene here. So I really enjoy visiting museums, officially, unofficially, taking part in listening to concerts, attending also art exhibitions. And so Poland has an immense, cultural wealth and heritage. And so I'm very happy to be able to explore that. And that's one of the great privileges of being an ambassador anywhere, is that you get, this access, and you're invited to see the best of what a country has to offer. So it's an immense privilege, and my family enjoys that
as well.
Likewise as well. And then I enjoy, seeing all of what the country has to offer. I think I've been to 12 of 16 regions so far.
Wow, okay.
So I'm looking to do all of it, certainly before the end of my mandate, but, even sooner than that. So I like, seeing different places, seeing different public squares. I enjoy going up to the Polish Sea when I've had a chance. I still have to visit Masuria. So,
you have to go there.
I have to go there.
Beautiful region.
I was at Białowieża National Forest, which is beautiful. I was there with my family, so the director and everybody was very kind in hosting us all. Very also great learning opportunity for kids to get out there. And so there's many things to do. I think it's very enjoyable, and you get it's a big and diverse country, so you get different experiences in Warsaw versus Kraków versus Wrocław versus Gdańsk,
seaside, mountainous region for sure. So are there aspects of Polish culture that maybe, I don't know, you particularly appreciate or resonate with?
Well, I think it's the combination of history and culture that resonates. So where I feel our two countries have a lot in common is we have had to work really hard to achieve our independence, our political independence, and then keep it. And so that matters in how history and culture is intertwined, because when you don't have independence, it's often your culture that becomes a next target of either aggression or threats or some sort of subordination. And so we have experienced that, unfortunately, like Poland. So I appreciate that Poland is a country of great culture, but I also appreciate that it's had to work really hard to piece together culture over time, because of having to deal with the partitions that left Poland for 123 years, not existing on the map, and has had to deal with, unfortunately, countries that have been adversarial to Poland really targeting culture as something that they wanted to appropriate for themselves. So we have faced the same in our part of the world as well. And so we have kind of learned to be resilient amidst that. And I think coming to the modern day, thinking about how much Poland has achieved in the last 30 to 40 years, it's a great inspiration for us because we have now had independence for almost 20 years. We have started to see now more and more economic success and resilience. But we look at Poland and say, that's who we want to be. We want to continue to prove that now that we finally have all, our country in the hands of the people, we can, produce a country that will make its people proud, that will be successful economically, that will have culture that it offers, and that it will stand out in a positive way to the world. So going back, I don't think I responded directly to what you had said, but for people in Poland now, this is my pitch on visiting Kosovo. So why should you visit?
I actually wanted to ask you what message would you like to share with Polish audience, but I guess you just did that.
I'll focus on visiting and getting to know the country is sort of my main message that I would hope for people to do. So we are a country that is relatively young, 20 years of independence, but has a ancient history up to 5,000 to 6,000 years of continuous civilization in our country. So we, the majority Kosovo Albanian people of Kosovo, would love to tell you about ancient Dardania and some of the aspects of our archaeology that show this this really special range in our history and our let's say heritage in the country. And then we have great food. So for people who enjoy Balkan food, it's going to be more of the same. But I would
foodies out there, buckle up.
Foodies, please. And then there are many great Balkan restaurants here in Warsaw as well. We don't yet have a Kosovo Albanian restaurant, but the closest is Jutro. I'll give a shout out to a restaurant whose owner's mother is partially Albanian. And so that is one, and the town he's from is actually just on the border of Montenegro and Kosovo. So we can both perhaps share. So the food is great. The hospitality, I think, is our superpower. And that's how our people, I think, stand out. So wherever you go in the Balkans, people are generally very hospitable. The food is very good. We think we're just that little bit more, just that little bit more, because I think we've had to work hard for our independence. We're very open to the outside world because we've had so much of its support. And so we're really grateful when people come visit. And then we'd probably like to take you to our cities and kind of feel the youthful vibe. But we'd also like to take you up into our mountains. So our mountains are our greatest, I would say, natural offer. So we have 43% of the country is covered in forests. So there's that aspect as well. But we're surrounded by mountains. And so Kosovo is a great place for hiking year-round. And so I know a lot of people from Poland, for example, are visiting Albania in incredible numbers.
For sure. Just for that purpose.
And so after you've enjoyed the beach in Albania, you should consider perhaps coming on north to Kosovo and enjoying some of the mountains.
So Kosovo, and you must see or must go on our map. Drilon S. Gashi, the ambassador of Kosovo to Poland, was our today's guest. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us today. Thank you.
Dziękuję bardzo. Thank you.